All right. Let's get into it. Uh, so the haters were out in full force today at my job. I had to hear all day. The refs gave us the game from customers who came in who were just bitter at the fact that their teams obviously don't have winning records. And everybody's always just got to hate on the Steelers, Steeler Nation, Steeler fans. It's just something that we're accustomed to, right? Um, Interesting thing I found out about that game, though, was that Marlon Humphrey decided to play with COVID, tested positive the day of, and still played. Um, what's the punishment going to be for that? Obviously there's a protocol in place. What's the punishment going to be? Um, that was one report I heard. He tested positive in the morning. They still let him play. Uh, Another report says he tested positive after it. Honestly, he probably tested positive before the game, and they still let him play. So it's just a matter of, what's the punishment going to be there? Uh, you know, and then this one kid at work who's a bitter Patriot fan, and I understand it, but, he was one who actually said to me, he goes, y'all going to run the table now, but, you're going to have a Patriot season, but you're not going to win the Super Bowl. A, as much as I would love an undefeated season, go win the Super Bowl and do something that hasn't been done since the 70s Dolphins, uh, other than the fact they didn't win the Super Bowl. Well, actually, yeah, they did win the Super Bowl that year. They never won one with Dan Marino, which is, I don't get how, but uh, that's for another time. As I was looking at the schedule, obviously we play Dallas this week, then we play the Bengals, then we got to play the Ravens again, and I think it's followed by like Buffalo, Washington, Cincy again, Colts, and then the Browns end the season like we always do. And people tell me, oh, it's an easy schedule. The one game, other than the next Raven game, that will give me utter agita is probably the Bills game because they're a decently built team. That one will probably give me a little bit of anxiety. As far as the Washington football team, they're not going nowhere. Ryan Kerrigan wants out. He requested a trade. Let's see where he goes before tomorrow. Uh, it's just comical. Even when I went to the gym tonight, Ravens fans coming up to me, the refs gave you the game. I'm like, first off, what game were you guys watching? See, and this is what I hate when I run into people and you're not knowledgeable and you just want to run your mouth and I think it's just because you like to hear yourself speak. If you're going to speak, then be knowledgeable of what you're speaking of when you're going to say something to somebody who is just as knowledgeable, if not more knowledgeable than you about the game or about sports in general. First off, there was blatant holding calls that were missed, and a lot of them were on Bud Dupree, especially on a lot of Gus Edwards runs. None of them were ever called. You don't hear me friggin', bitching about it. It pisses me off, yeah, but you know what? The officiating's been horrible since forever. Um, there was pass interference calls that should have been called that weren't. There was one on Deontay Johnson where he flipped on the ref. He's like, "How do you not see that?" Literally, how do you not when it happens right in front of you? It's happening right in front of you when you don't throw the flag. It's stuff like that that annoys me. But don't tell me the refs gave us the game when Lamar Jackson in big games is like 0 and whatever now. He's like 0 and 6 in big time games. Listen, they choked against friggin' Tennessee in the playoffs. Um, Come on, don't tell me the refs gave us the game. The refs were helping you way more than they were helping Pittsburgh. Let's put it that way. Um, and again, I had to hear about the end of the game with the pass to Snead and Fitzpatrick. And listen, again, when you're both making a play on the ball as incidental contact, it does not warrant a flag. It's one thing if Snead was there and Minka came in barreling through, leading with his helmet and targeting. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But that's not what happened. They both jumped for the ball. Fitzpatrick made the play. That's it. End of story. You lost. Just suck it up and move on with life. All right. Uh, and now we got Avery Williamson here, and a guy that I know at the gym who's a Steeler fan. He goes, "Well, what are they going to do with Spillane now?" Listen, they're not taking Spillane out of the starting spot right now, and because of COVID restrictions, I don't even think Avery Williamson's going to be able to play this week anyway. Assuming if he tests negative like 2, 3 times, he might be able to play against Dallas. We'll wait and see. But if he doesn't, then he's going to play the following game. Spillane's still going to start. You don't take him out of it. That guy stuck it out through everything a player could ever go through. Cut, released, signed, cut, released, brought back, practice squad. You name it, this guy went through it, and he never gave up. It's as simple as that. You're not going to take it away from him now. I mean, especially when the guy is playing lights out in that position. But they are going to rotate it around, like they always do. So you're going to see Williamson in that spot. You're going to see Highsmith in that spot. You're going to see Spillane in that spot. You're also going to see Highsmith come off the edge. That's just what they're going to do. And on the San Francisco side of it, now you got Garoppolo out the rest of the year. I didn't think he aggravated it that bad, but at this point, they're not going anywhere. You're not making the playoffs. You're 4-4. Kittle's hurt. I think San Francisco really just kind of tries to get out of that deal with Garoppolo. Honestly, when you signed him for that much, it was literally it was literally a disastrous contract. I never would have signed him for that much. Knowing the fact he's always hot and cold, and I think the whole hype around him was that he came from New England and he had like 5 good games filling in for Brady, which is comical when you think about it. Because I was looking at Belichick's record today with Brady. And he's like 224 wins with like 56 losses. And without Brady, he has 51 wins and 66 losses. That kind of goes to tell you who really was the key, intricate part of that system there. And again, Belichick probably goes to sleep at night thinking he wish he had Brady back. But you know what? That relationship was deteriorating. You could see it more and more year in and year out. And if it wasn't Brady that left, it would have been Belichick. And then Josh McDaniels would have got a shot at coaching. If you want my honest opinion as a guy who really can't stand either of them, I think Brady made the better decision because he's proving he could win without Belichick and without being in Belichick's system. And Belichick's proving that he needs Tom Brady to win. Because I'm sorry, as much as I like the Cam signing in New England, he's not the guy who's going to take you to the Super Bowl. And, I get it. There was a lot of opt-outs. This guy opted out. That guy opted out. You got Edelman hurt now. You lost pieces to free agency. Like Van Noy went to Miami, which honestly surprised me. He even left New England. And he's tearing it up in Miami from what I've seen. And I think at the end of the year, I think you see New England kind of clean house. Maybe Belichick finally walks away and decides, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. And they hand the keys to McDaniels, and they draft who they got to draft. If they tank now, they're not getting the number 1 pick because, honestly, do you really see the Jets winning? I see the Jets winning 1 game before the Steelers lose 1. And there was actually a poll out there. It was all over Facebook and Twitter and every friggin' app possible. And a lot of fans think the Jets will actually win a game before the Steelers lose 1. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. The Niners actually, and it's surprising because my video earlier, then I said that the Saints need to trade for somebody on defense. Well, they went and they did that, and they got Quan Alexander from the Niners for like a 5th rounder and a player exchange later. The Chargers traded Desmond King to the Titans, so they bolstered their defense a little bit for the playoff push. I'm surprised the Chargers are actually going to be sellers in this. You figured they'd actually try to give it a shot, but when you blow leads of like 21 points, 17, 19, and 20 over the course of 4 weeks, and the coach is constantly taking the responsibility for it, I think at the end of the year, Anthony Lynn gets the can. I think he gets boosted out of there. You can see them kind of moving some more pieces probably in the offseason. And, I think there you need a rebuild. You build around Herbert and Keenan Allen. Eckler isn't a bad running back there. So that's who I would build around. And you got Bosa on the defensive line. But, he's hurt. He's hurt at times. But, again, we'll see what they do. I'm surprised the Niners, I shouldn't say I'm surprised the Niners would make a trade like that. Pretty much John Lynch up there is just going to take draft picks, and he's going to try to replace pieces within the draft. He's actually not bad at draft. I mean, he drafted Brandon Ayuk, and with that pick you had last year, he was the next best wide receiver to take there after, Ruggs went and everybody else. And, you know, like going back to the hating on the Steelers for a bit, and then like I just don't get why. I, the Steeler Raven rivalry is like one of the biggest in football for the past like 10 plus years. Even to the days of when Rod Woodson was even on the Ravens, and Ray Lewis and Suggs, and it was always a battle. And those games were gritty and they were flag happy, but never once has a ref or an officiating crew ever helped the Steelers win a game. Um, that was more when New England played. As we all know, Steelers, Patriots, Jesse James still caught the fucking thing. All right? Keep replaying the video. You'll see it. Just like Dez caught it. All right? That's it. Enough. It's enough now. But if you're going to talk trash to me about my team, then be knowledgeable. Because when you talk trash about my team, and when I come back at you with truth and facts, just don't be surprised. You can't sit there as a sports and claiming to be a sports fan and not know what you're talking about. I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable guy, with sports. Don't get me wrong, but I am pretty knowledgeable, and especially when it comes to the Steelers, just don't do it. Just don't. Like even Steeler haters I know on Facebook were like, "Oh, good wins." For the people I thought were gonna be chirping their little gums off. I was getting praise today from the usual haters I usually deal with, and that's all well and good. Probably because your team is doing poorly anyway. And I had to read like on Twitter, people like, I don't know why we traded for Avery Williamson. Listen, I'm going to explain it to you, and it's simple. Depth. You always want depth in every position in football. Why? Because injuries. Look yesterday, Cam Hayward got hurt. Now, luckily, I found out today it's a quad injury. Probably miss a game or two. Hopefully, just a game. Tyson Alualu, on the other hand, sprained MCL. Probably 5-6 games if I had to guess. I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD and whatnot. So, hopefully, it's less. But now we're gonna have Carlos Davis step up into that position, and play lights out. And I'm sure he will, because again, we know how to draft. And we always find those diamonds in the rough. Again, and I told everybody, you let Highsmith play, he's going to make a big play. That interception, again, is the turning point of the game that gives Ben the keys literally to score that touchdown, and then that was it. And they even interviewed Ben about the play calling. He pretty much said there was no play calling. He was just winging it. They were playing backyard football at that point. And, hey, it worked. So, and I tell everybody, especially on Twitter, somebody's like, well, Fichtner's not a bad offensive coordinator. And, he's not at times, but when he's making the play calling, because on 3rd and 5, and we're bombing the ball down the field. Why are we bombing the ball down the field? Why? It's 3rd and 5. A little bubble screen pass, you get your 5-6 yards, first down. That's what you do. I don't need to see Ben bombing it. And I read something else that the Steelers, possibly at the end of the year, are going to move on from James Washington. I don't see why you do it. He's not a bad wide receiver. I just don't think he gets enough targets. And he can have big games, because there's going to be games where Claypool's going to get doubled and he's going to be open for some passes. And Deontay Johnson this year has kind of been a bit off at times, especially with injuries. He's had the back injury, turf toe, he's had a couple injuries. So, he's not fully healthy, but he's still playing. So you got to give Washington a shot. I wouldn't give up on him just yet. I mean, if he has another crappy season next year, then, yeah, see you later, goodbye. And then again, another person asked me today, who do I think Ben's heir apparent is? And again, he's not on this team. He's not. He's not. And then they asked me, well, if the Niners... No. I don't want Garoppolo. I just don't. Because Garoppolo gets hurt, and you're going to see Mason Rudolph. And I read a report where Steeler fans better get used to the fact that Rudolph is Ben's replacement. And I'm going to tell you he's not. And I don't have to get used to it. And I'll tell you why. Because the Steelers will make a move. They will make a move and get Ben's heir apparent. Whether it's in this draft or they trade for him. One way or the other, it's not going to be Rudolph. Because honestly, I don't think even Ben has confidence in Rudolph. And Ben's tried to teach him, and and you could say Ben's a crappy leader, but I see Ben on the sidelines talking up his players, and no, he's not a bad leader. It's just you just don't see what I see. You want to believe what Antonio Brown said, then by all means go ahead. But he's not. Rudolph's not the answer. I mean, if he had to fill in for a game or two like he did last year, he filled in for a few games, it's fine. But the issue with Mason Rudolph is he does not know the first team playbook, and it's like he's afraid to play the first team playbook. Well, when you're a backup, you have to know all the playbooks, so you better learn it. You better learn it. And you see it like in San Francisco. They could put in Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard, and they're out there slinging. I think Rudolph's just really kind of afraid to do that. He's afraid to let it rip. If he just played with that mentality and just let it rip and just do what Ben does, then maybe, yeah, he could be the heir apparent. But till I see that, he's not. Dobbs isn't either, but Dobbs is a better backup right now than Rudolph's going to be. But again, they got to trade. They got to find Ben's replacement at some point. Because you even seen it yesterday on the sidelines with the elbow. At times he's wincing, so the elbow's hurting him. But he's gonna grind it out, and he's gonna go out there and do what Ben does, and And I told everybody at the beginning of the year the AFC North's running through Pittsburgh, and that's just it. And you better get used to it because this team's built to win now, and in years past, I can never really say that there's something special with any Steeler team. This year, there's something different. I just feel like I feel number 7's coming this year. We're built to win it now. Getting Claypool was I don't care what you say. Claypool to me has outshined any other rookie wide receiver so far. You could debate me on it, and I'm gonna tell you you're wrong. Jerry Jeudy really hasn't done much in Denver. CeeDee Lamb's in a shit situation in Dallas. Ruggs was hurt for a bit, with the Raiders. Brandon Ayuk, I could say, is the only one who probably maybe is almost at Claypool's level. But other than that, Claypool, I think, honestly has a shot at winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Assuming Clyde Edwards, Hilaire Edwards from the Chiefs doesn't win it. He pretty much is running his ass off to keep Bell off the field. And you know what? It's the same thing Connor did when Bell sat out, thinking that Bell might come back. And we all remember that when Bell said, yeah, I'll be back by week 8. I'll be back by week 10. And he wasn't. And Connor just bulldozed right through. And the other thing is, Ben was calling the plays because for about 3/4 of the second half, you didn't see a lot of running out of Connor. It's not because Connor was hurt. It's just that when Ben's calling the plays, they're all throwing plays. They're not going to be running plays. They're going to be little dinks and dunks. There's going to be bombs. There's going to be, jet sweeps. There's going to be screen passes. Pretty much it's backyard football is what Ben's going to call. Hey, and I'm fine with it because we won. And then obviously I had to watch the Dallas Eagle game, and DiNucci played like utter trash. I'm going to be honest. Dallas, if that's your starting quarterback next week, or this other kid that they were going to put in last night, you're not going to score anything. You literally, in 2 weeks, you flew to Washington to kick field goals, and you flew to Philly to kick field goals. At the end of the year, who knows what's going to happen in Dallas? You literally have Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb lining up opposite each other with Michael Galladay, and Amari Cooper gets like no targets the whole game. And Amari Cooper is not a bad wide receiver. And I was surprised that the Raiders ever traded him. I'm surprised, but he's not a bad wide receiver. And I just think it's that DiNucci, DiNucci came out there, and I think he came out cocky, thinking like he was just going to throw all over the place. But where were you throwing to? Everywhere you threw was almost going to get picked off. You were throwing passes that almost got your wide receivers killed. Um, Dallas, between now and 4 o'clock tomorrow, whatever time the deadline ends, you better figure out and find a quarterback somewhere. Because if you think DiNucci's winning you a game against this defense and this offense right now, not a shot in the dark, my friend. Not a shot in the dark. I wouldn't be surprised Pittsburgh comes into that game heavily favored at this point. I mean, we're going to come in banged up, but you know what? If Dak was playing in this game, I'd be a little scared of it, but I'm not now. But then again, actually, no. I'm not even scared of it because DiNucci is just utter trash. I mean, I throw better footballs than DiNucci does, and I got a friggin' crappy shoulder. Um, and then tonight you got the Giants Buccaneer game, right? And for the life of me, I can't wait to, if the Giants lose, I can't wait to see how much it gets blamed on Daniel Jones. So I'm going to watch thoroughly through this because to beat Brady, obviously, you keep him off the field, right? But the Giants got to get really, really creative with this playbook. Evan Ingram has got to catch everything thrown at him. I'm sorry, you just do. Um, you have Darius Slayton, who's a good wide receiver. You're gonna have to utilize Golden Tate somehow. Gallman's gonna have to run the ball because you don't have Freeman in. So it's gonna be Gallman and whoever else at running back. Jason Garrett's gonna have to really open the playbook and get really creative if he's gonna compete with Tom Brady. Instead of standing on the sidelines clapping like a little schoolgirl selling Girl Scout cookies. Oh, I sold the most Samoas. Come on, all right. That's what you got to do. You're gonna have to open up the playbook, and your defense is gonna have to play a mistake-free game, and you're gonna have to stop Brady. And honestly, I don't think they're gonna be able to do it. But if they do it, hey, you know, then you prove me wrong. So what? Uh, but Jones has got to have a mistake-free game. You can't be throwing picks. You can't be getting sacked. Listen, if you ain't got nobody to check the ball down to and you're about to get sacked, don't throw it away. Just take the hit. Because every time Jones throws it away, and we see it in every game, no matter what, somebody tries to make a play, throw it away, and what happens? It gets picked, right? Okay. And that's where Daniel Jones' mistakes come into play. Andrew Thomas is going to have to protect them. His offensive line is going to have to protect him for more than half a second for him to even get the ball out. And I don't know how you're going to do that on Tampa's defense. I mean, you got Sue. Who's the other guy? Shaq Barrett, I believe his name is. Those guys are beasts on that defensive line. Um, if they're going to target Jones by going through Andrew Thomas. If Thomas don't step it up tonight, it could be Daniel Jones' funeral. You might actually wind up seeing Colt McCoy in this game, and then that's it's just going to be a slaughter at that point. Um, you know, Again, and then with the trade deadline, the Saints said they're not going to trade Michael Thomas. Um, we've all heard that before. Giants fans, I'm sure you've heard that. Yeah, we're not trading Beckham. All of a sudden, Beckham traded, which now the reports are really ramping up on that one, that he possibly played his last game in Cleveland. And again, I'm going to say it. It's the best move, honestly, for both sides. It's the best move. You're not going to be able to trade him, though, because nobody's going to take him when he's hurt. So you're not going to get anything for him. You're just going to wind up releasing him or waiving him. Um, and it's a shame that Gettleman screwed him the way that he did. Because Beckham wanted to go to the Niners, and you probably could have got a better deal out of San Francisco at the time than you would have with the Browns. I mean, I get it. You got Jabril Peppers in that deal, and Olivier Vernon, and whatever draft picks you got. But and then you lost Olivier Vernon anyway. So and Jabril Peppers really hasn't done much for you So who really won that? Nobody really won that deal, if you want me to be honest. Nobody won that deal. I'm going to be curious to see what Cleveland does with him. Um, Honestly, I think he's sitting at home right now and going, yeah, I really want out. Like I said, nobody's going to take you with that injury right now. Nobody's going to take you with a torn ACL, especially the fact that you're not going to be able to play right away. They're saying hopefully by training camp he's healed up and ready to go. Everybody heals differently after different surgeries. So we'll see how he heals up from that. You know, uh, Thursday night game though, it's got to be a bounce back for the Packers. Now I read something where there was a flag thrown late in the game, and then the refs picked it up and said there was no penalty on it. I really didn't read into it, but Aaron Rodgers came out and said that he believes the league office told him to pick up the flag. Um, Whether that's true or not, who really knows? Uh, I think honestly, it's just the fact Rodgers couldn't handle they got beat by Minnesota. Minnesota, you know, Minnesota wins the games that you don't expect them to win, and they lose the games you expect them to win. And at the end of the year, I think again you got to cut ties with Kirk Cousins. You're not going to be able to move that contract. Nobody's gonna take that deal on. So you're just gonna have to release him. You have to eat up whatever money that you owe him. That's just it. And you got to go and you got to find a different quarterback. Obviously, it's not working there, in Minnesota, with him, and that's why Diggs got traded off. And not that Diggs has really done anything in Buffalo from what I've seen. But think about it. You would have had this year in Minnesota Jefferson, Thielen, Diggs. That's a lethal trio right there. Especially all three of them can catch anything. All three of them are fast, and they could juke you out of your friggin' shorts. Especially Diggs and especially Jefferson, because I watched him in LSU, and that's why Minnesota went and got him. You could have had him and Diggs, and you might have won more games this year. You might be playing for the NFC North, but yeah. And then honestly, and speaking of the NFC North with the Bears, not that I'm Nick Foles. I forget who came out and said it, and they're pretty much spot on about it. Nick Foles is not a starting quarterback. Never been. I mean, he had the lucky streak in Philly, and you see what he's doing now in Chicago, and I even questioned it. Mitch Trubisky is not a great quarterback by any standard whatsoever, but you bench him when he won you 3 games and you didn't lose any. Who knows what the Bears' record would be if they didn't bench Trubisky? I'm not saying that they're 5-3. They might be 3-5. Who knows? Um, I think you go back to Trubisky at this point. I mean, what do you really got to lose? Um, as far as the Javon Wims thing from yesterday, the NFL is looking into it. It's a possible suspension, which I'm sorry, those actions warrant definitely a suspension. We mean possible suspension. It definitely warrants a hefty fine for one, and two, it definitely warrants a suspension of at least 2 to 3 games, if not more. I mean, you want to set the tone. The NFL is not going to condone certain things. Well, this is the one thing that like breaking COVID protocols. You got to set the tone and say we're not going to, we're going to punish you, and you're going to have to accept the consequences of it. And I'm sorry, 2 to 3 game suspension is what he should get, and at least a $50,000 fine. That's it. What are they going to do with Marlon Humphreys? Now, what's that punishment going to be? Baltimore is going to have to pay the price for that somehow. You still haven't heard anything with the Raiders side of it, as far as their when they broke protocol again. Um, you hear nothing of these punishments. It's almost like Goodell's just sitting there and he's just freaking telling you what you want to hear, blow smoke up your ass, and then you hear nothing about it. I mean, it's just another joke. Goodell, get it right, would you? I mean, it's not that hard. The union, and the owners set these protocols in place, and then when they're broken, there's supposed to be consequences to follow them. But yet, I've seen no consequence. The Tennessee punishment was an absolute joke. It was an absolute joke. You haven't done anything with the Raiders yet. You talk about, oh, well, it's going to be a hefty fine and loss of draft picks. Don't say it, just do it. That's it. Just do it. It's as simple as that. Because, again, you have to set the tone. Because now let's say next week, let's just say next week now, I'm just going to use somebody out of, let's say Baker Mayfield tests positive Sunday morning for COVID, right? And he goes out and plays. And then Monday you hear, oh, Cleveland's losing 2 draft picks and Baker Mayfield fined $50,000, right? Let's just say that. But where were the punishments for the other protocols that were violated by other teams? You see what I mean? So you got to get it right somehow, Goodell. Please, for the life of me, get it right. I mean, you want me to hand out the punishments? I will. I ain't got no problem doing that. Like again, I got no problem refereeing from the friggin' couch. I'll friggin' FaceTime the flag in. I don't care. You got to get it right with the punishments. You know, that's just it. Something's got to give when it comes to that. And you could say, oh well, like if you're a Raider fan, you'd be, oh well, why should we be punished? Listen, your team violated the protocols, the same protocols that your organization, your owners, your players all agreed upon. Your actions have consequences, and you have to face them like anything else. Like if I go out right now and I go out drinking right now and I get pulled over and get a DWI, what do you think happens? What do you think they're going to sit there and say, oh no, you can go home, we'll give you a punishment later? No. My ass is getting hauled off to jail, and I'm freaking, I'm going to spend a night in the county, and I'm going to go to court the next day, and they're going to freaking lock me up, right? Okay, so again, their actions warrant tough consequences. That's just it. And, it's the same thing in any sport. Like even the Dodgers situation with Justin Turner. Oh, well, we're going to investigate it. What is there to investigate? Bottom line is this. Justin Turner's test was inconclusive. He should have never been on the field, right? But no, he played anyway. 7th inning, you find out he's positive. Then he comes off the field. But not even off the field. They don't even send him to the locker room. They don't even send him to the hotel. No, they let him sit in the dugout, and they let him celebrate, right? They let him celebrate at the end of it. We all saw it. The whole world saw it. Okay, if you watched it, you saw it. It was all over social media the following day. Where's the punishment for that? Come on. It's utterly disgusting. Utterly disgusting. And if this happened with the Steelers, the punishment would have been out already. We all know, because I don't care what you say, we're the most hated team in the league, and I don't know why. I really don't get it. Is it because Roethlisberger's proving all the doubters wrong? That at the beginning of the year, like the Colin Cowherds and the Adam Sheens, the Steelers used to be about Lombardi trophies. Now they're about TikTok videos and this and that. First off, Adam Sheen, you're a jackass. All right? Colin Cowherd had to eat his words, right? Must have been really hard for you to do, right? I think that's why we get hated on so much, because we prove people wrong. Even last year we were getting hated on when we were supposed to go 2-14 and we managed to break even at 8-8. I don't hate on other people's teams the way the Steelers get hated on. Like, I'll talk trash about the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns because they're in a division that my team plays in, and they're all big rivalries when you think about it. Just like, Mets Yankees. And with Mets Yankees, like me and my ex-brother-in-law, we'll talk smack to each other, but, it's all in joking and fun. But with other Mets, and there's Mets fans that I know that they know the Mets put a crappy team on the field because, they're knowledgeable and they see it, so they're not going to say anything. But then you got these other fans, and again, whether it's football bet, and they just bet, like just stop. When you win something, then you could talk. Until then, don't say nothing. I don't sit there, I sit there every year and I expect my teams to win championships. And when they don't, it sucks. I don't find excuses to why. I see why. Oh, well, we lost this game. We didn't score enough runs in this game. We didn't score enough touchdowns in this game. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. I don't sit there and go, the refs gave this team the game. The refs gave that team the game. That was a bad strike call. Now, in yesterday's Raven game, if they did call that helmet to helmet and the Ravens won, then yeah, I'm going to say that the refs gave the Ravens the game. for the pure fact that at the end of that game does not warrant a penalty. And I'm surprised. And again, I'm surprised Brad Allen doesn't throw the flag there, because we all know in games like that, these refs love the drama at the end, right? And again, I'm surprised he didn't throw the flag. I'm really surprised. Uh, and then I'm watching all these other games and I'm seeing flag after flag after flag for stuff like the ticky tack nonsense. I get you got to throw the flag for certain things, but if for some of them, I'm just like, that's a penalty now. It's just totally insane. Oh, and speaking of penalties, since Brady's playing tonight, God forbid somebody breathes on him, probably be like a 15-yard roughing the passer penalty, and you're going to get ejected from the game because we got to protect the almighty Brady at all costs. And and that's really where my hatred for Tom Brady comes into play. It's not even that he won 6 Super Bowls. It's the fact that for so many years, Brady's gotten call after call after call for just sitting there whining like a little bitch. Okay? Like, case in point, even the Patriot Raider game, he fumbled the ball. All of a sudden, you made up a rule on the spot, the tuck rule. I don't know. A rule that didn't exist till that day. That moment, that existed then. Because let's get this straight. You call that a fumble, Oakland gets the ball, Oakland wins. That's it. That is it. That's where this Tom Brady legacy started. Okay? In my opinion, that's where the hatred for him started. That's where the hatred for the Patriots started. It's just that's just it. I'm sorry, you can't just make up rules as the game goes on. If the rule didn't exist, he fumbled the ball, so the rule didn't exist. These officials just managed to always just give it to him in his favor, and it's just utterly sickening. And I'm sure a lot of football fans feel the same way. In fact, I've heard many say the same thing. And I've heard others, obviously because they were Patriots fans at the time, and now be bandwagon Buccaneers fans tonight, tweeting, "Oh, Brady, the Buccaneers, and blah, blah, blah. I've loved this team since Rondé Barber, and blah, blah, blah." And that'll be the only person you can name. Why? Because of his brother Tiki. You couldn't name anybody else on there. You probably didn't even realize that Tony Dungy once coached the friggin' Buccaneers. Okay, so I really don't want to hear it. You're a bandwagon Buccaneer fan because you used to be a Patriot fan. Now the Patriots sucks, and now you're jumping on to the friggin' flavor of the week. All right, it's just if you were a Patriot fan when they were winning, then you're a Patriot fan when they're losing. Just like I've been a Bulls fan since '85, so I got to enjoy the 6-peat, 2-3-peats in a row. I got to enjoy all that. Now the Bulls suck. They suck, and yet I'll still watch and I'll still root for them, even though they'll suck forever. And that's just that. I don't jump ship and root for a different team because all of a sudden they're winning or my favorite player went there. No. I don't. No. The rules of sports are as clear as day. Again, there's a book out there written by Joe Beningo, and it states it in there. I suggest buying it for some of you fans, and you might want to read it. I stay loyal to my teams through thick and thin. I know others do, some just don't, and those are the fans that I can't debate sports with because they have no merit to, because their debate is just going to be, oh, well, the Patriots were good, but, when Brady left, then I became a Bucs fan. Like, what if Tom Brady went to the Saints when they thought Breeze was going to retire? Because that would have been an interesting one. If Breeze retired, and many don't know this, Brady was going to go to New Orleans, right? Would you have been a Saints fan then? Oh, I've been rooting for the Saints since Drew Brees. Yeah? You probably couldn't name on any other quarterback before Drew Brees, or any other wide receiver before Michael Thomas for that matter, or any other running back before Kamara, or any other defensive player before Cam Jordan. Okay? Again, I can't deal with bandwagon fans. You either root for the team that you originally started rooting for, or just don't watch it all then. Okay? It utterly annoys me. I just can't. I can't take those guys or sports fans in general go, well, I'm a Yankee fan, but I also root for it. No, you're a Yankee fan, that's it. And you can watch other teams play. Don't get me wrong, because I do it. Yankees aren't playing. I'll put on whatever games on ESPN. I'll throw a Met game on to see what's going on. But you don't. I'm not sitting there rooting for the Mets. I'm not sitting there rooting for the Red Sox, the Rockies, this team, that team. Oh, when football's on and my team, well, now because we got to play all these games all in a row, and again, we don't care because we'll play them and we'll win them. Um, I still watch football, but I'm not rooting for the Cowboys to win against the Eagles or the Jets to beat whoever because the Jets ain't gonna beat anybody anyway. They freaking couldn't even punch their way out of a wet paper bag at this point. It's utterly disgusting. And I don't get how Adam Gase isn't fired today. I don't get that. You're 0-8. You're an embarrassment. You make this team an embarrassment, and you come out saying we got to work together and keep working together to play better. Nobody wants to play with you. Nobody wants to play for you. Just if I was Adam Gase, I would have just went to Joe Douglas and said, you know what? I'm not cutting it here. I quit. That's it. Nobody, people would have rejoiced for that than the fact that now, for the rest of the year, they have to sit there and watch this on the sideline. You're calling the plays? Where are you calling the plays? Are we on offense? Are we on defense? Oh, I don't know. That's what you Jet fans get to deal with the rest of the year. And again, I feel bad for some of you. I really do. Like, I feel bad for my buddy Rob, because he's a diehard Jet fan. And I know he is. But how do you sit? I got to know how he sits there and watches. He must literally drink himself to death watching it. He's probably like one of those girls after a breakup, and he probably sits there with like a bottle of wine and some bonbons and just like cries. Why am I watching this? Why am I watching this? Watching the Jets is like watching a train wreck. You want to look away, but you can't. And again, and there was reports in every newspaper today that the Jets are hurting Darno as a player because they are. And if I'm Sam Darno, I literally refuse to play. And people say that's the coward's way out. But you know what? Even he knows. Even he knows the Jets are going to go after Trevor Lawrence. And that'll be... And the only way, if you really want me to be honest, and I'll say it again, the only way that he even plays for the Jets is if the Jets could get Dabo Swinney to leave Clemson. You know the Jets will offer Dabo Swinney a lot of money to leave Clemson. And again, I don't leave money on the table. If I was Dabo Swinney and the Jets called me and said, "Hey, we'll give you a 5-year, $75 million coaching deal," right? Would you take it? I would. Granted, yeah, it's the Jets. But I would go into it being like, listen, I'm signing, but you gotta get me weapons. You gotta bolster this defense. You gotta do something. Because you want me to convince this kid to play for you, because that's the only selling point to get Trevor Lawrence to play for the Jets, is they're gonna have to get his coach to come along. And I could see it happening, and then Trevor Lawrence comes here, and then it's just gonna be the same routine. They don't put anything decent around him. You drafted a wide receiver in Mims, right? And again, I said this morning, I'm going to say it again. 2 receptions for 42 yards. Why are you not throwing the ball more? It ain't like you got anybody else to throw it to. Like, friggin' who else you got? Who else you got out there? Huh? You don't have Robbie Anderson because he's in Carolina. You didn't have Perriman because he was out. Crowder was out. So all you had was Mims and your tight end. Who are you throwing it to? How'd you even get 123, 33 yards friggin' throwing the ball? Who'd you throw it to? The fans? What, did it give you sympathy friggin' yards at that point? Come on. Just, if I'm Darnold, just let Flacco start the rest of the year and don't hurt your value anymore. Because you're going to get released or traded in the offseason somehow, some way. And they could sit there and say they're not trading him before the deadline. But I'm sorry. If a team calls and says, hey, listen, we want Sam Darnold. We're going to give you a 4th and a 5th for him. If I'm the Jets, I'm taking it. Because you didn't get anything for Bell, and that you got to be kicking yourself in the ass for. You just got to take what you're going to get for him. You just got to do it. If I'm Darnold, I'd probably request a trade. Be like, listen, trade me. Trade me because I'm not going anywhere here. Pretty much Sam Darnold is going to waste his prime on the Jets the way Beckham's been wasting his prime in Cleveland. Okay, I get they play two different positions entirely, but they're both in the same. They're both in the same predicament here. You can tell me they're not. They are. It's just clear as day. They are. They're in the same predicament, wasting their prime years on shit teams. Okay, it's just as simple as that. That's just it. It's just it's right there in black and white for you to see. It's right there every week for the past year and a half. It's been there for you to see. We've all seen it. So don't tell me it's not because they're the same predicaments. Um, somebody told me, they wish Odell would go back to the Giants. As long as Gettleman's there, Odell ain't never coming back to the Giants. Um, if I'm Odell and the Browns are releasing me, uh, obviously the Browns are gonna have to pay him whatever's left of that deal, whatever they owe him. But where Beckham really should try to go, honestly, is Arizona. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Fitzgerald's probably going to be gone. I think this is going to be his last year. I don't see him coming back. If he does, he does. But Beckham's got to go somewhere where they're building to win now. Cleveland, you could say, yeah, is building to win now, but they don't know what they're doing there. Baker can't handle what's given to him. I don't think he's ever going to be able to. And again, Baker Mayfield was overhyped coming out of college. He's always had that cocky, arrogant attitude about him. Uh, he has that face you want to punch constantly. Every time I see him on TV, I just gotta turn the TV off because I can't stand those stupid commercials. And Beckham's got to go somewhere where he can thrive with a quarterback who's going to know how to utilize him. Beckham doesn't know how to do that. He just doesn't. He's never been coached to utilize weapons. Because he let everybody overhype him. He let the media overhype him. He let himself get into his own head. His coach last year overhyped him. They overhyped the whole team last year. And what did you do? You did shit. You did nothing. Where'd you win? You didn't win the AFC North. You didn't even go to the playoffs. You did absolutely nothing. And you're going to do nothing again this year. Nothing. And then what are you going to do? You're going to fire this coach too? You fire this coach? That'll be coach number 855 in the past 10 years. Come on. Come on. No. Another coach, though, that I do see on the hot seat. Well, obviously, Gase is beyond the hot seat. He's like on the seat of Inferno at this point. Another coach that's on the hot seat, honestly, is gonna be Belichick. If New England don't get it right, you see Belichick either getting fired or walking away. Another coach is going to be the Zimmer up in friggin' Minnesota. And what's funny with coaching is that the Chiefs' assistant, Eric Bieniemy, who everybody's touting for, and he goes on all these interviews, and somebody the other day on WFAN was saying, well, he doesn't get hired because of his past incidents. I forget what some of them were, but that was in the past when he was a player, and I think you got to look past that at this point. He's older, and that stuff's in the past. He helped Andy Reid win the Super Bowl finally. Eric Bieniemy's got to get a job somewhere at this point. And honestly, if I'm the Jets, if I can't get Dabo Sweeney, Eric Bieniemy's the guy I go for. I mean, then you probably don't get Trevor Lawrence, but honestly, I don't see why Trevor Lawrence wants to play here. I just don't see it. The only selling point is Dabo comes with him. Kyle Shanahan's another one in San Fran that you might see get moved. Because this is an abysmal season for him, and you could put it on all the injuries and this, that, and the fourth. But I think regardless of the injuries, you always got to play next man up. But you got to stop blaming the field for all the injuries. It's just pretty much, again, I'm going to say it, a lot of these injuries are coming from not enough time, not enough off-season training. There was no off-season training. There was no training camp. Everything was virtual. These guys had to do it all on their own. That's what really factored into it. It wasn't MetLife. It wasn't this field, that field. It wasn't any of that. Because, again, the NFL the NFL inspects every field before games are played, and if they give it a thumbs up, then it's good to go. Um, so again, please stop blaming fields, please, please. Um, I see Garoppolo getting opted out of that deal. Again, like I said earlier, uh, when this season's done, it's going to be very interesting to see who goes where, who gets fired, who gets traded, and the draft's going to be interesting this year. But the draft's always interesting for a lot of teams. Uh, like down in Miami, I had to hear a Dolphins fan. Oh, Tua was amazing yesterday. Not at 12 to 22 at 93 yards. The defense won you that game. Again, the defense won you that game. Goff was just utterly atrocious in that game. He has made mistakes you regularly don't see him make. Um, and they're gonna have a bounce back week. Not that they're gonna win the NFC West. Obviously, we all know that's gonna go through that's gonna go through Seattle. I don't know honestly if they even win the wild card because Arizona is like 5-2 right now. Arizona's probably gonna get the wild card out of there. I get you get the extra wild cards this year, so the Rams may be able to squeak in that way. But then they're gonna have to. But then they're gonna have to go on a run if you think they're gonna win anything. Um, and the Cardinals. Even if the Cardinals make it into the wild card and lose, you can't say it was an abysmal season because they're slowly improving year in and year out, and they'll get there to the Super Bowl again. At some point. They got something brewing there with Kingsbury and Murray and that whole organization. They built it up right. The Texans. Deshaun Watson's in another. He's another example of somebody whose prime's being wasted. In such a crummy situation. Um, you know, he's got some weapons, but now they're talking about shopping Brandon Cooks. So now you're going to take another weapon away from him. So it's almost like Bill O'Brien never left. Instead of trying to build the team, you're just trying to destroy it. And what are you really going to get for Brandon Cooks? You're going to get a fifth-round pick for him. And I guess, yeah, you take it, but then who's he going to throw to the rest of the year? Honestly, I don't know why he signed that extension there. He could have got that money anywhere else. Could have got that deal anywhere else. You literally could have traded him and got like 2 first-round draft picks and a second pick for him. Cincinnati's another team who's in rebuild mode. Last I read, Geno Atkins is a guy who they may move before the deadline. Cincinnati, pretty much whoever they move is going to be for draft picks, and that's how Cincinnati's going to build the team is through the draft. Which obviously that's what you do, but again, you also got to get free. You got to sign free agents. You got to spend money here and there. The Giants, honestly, they got to rebuild from top to bottom. The Jets, same thing, top to bottom. Miami's slowly getting there. I'm not saying Tua is going to light it up every game, but they need a couple more offensive weapons there other than what they got. Dallas is another team where, is Dak going to get the deal? Is Dak not going to get the deal? I think Jerry Jones is very stubborn. He's very stubborn in that way as far as who he wants to give money to. Let's put it this way. You gave Amari Cooper his money. He's really done nothing this year. You gave Zeke his money. He ain't really doing nothing this year. So you overpaid them, but you're not going to pay Dak, who this year was playing pretty much lights out, most of it, until that injury. He just was. Let's just call it for what it is. He was. And again, like I said in another video, at times I didn't think he was worth the money. But in Dallas, who else are you going to pay? Who are you going to bring there? With that utter drama that goes on there, with guys saying, oh, this team plays with no heart, the defense is trash, and then you don't even put your name to it. You got to remain anonymous. Like, why? Just again, put your name on it. Own that. Own what you say. In New Orleans, I get they made the trade for Quan Alexander. They're not going to go far in the playoffs. If you can't get Michael Thomas on the field at any point this year, then you're not going to go anywhere. Denver's another team that needs to go into rebuilding mode. and they're slowly doing it. Drew Lock looks, he looks pretty promising. And you say the same for Justin Herbert too. The Chargers got to go through a rebuild. Um, a lot of teams got to go through a rebuild, to be honest with you. Um, Seattle Seattle just adds pieces, and there's pieces that step up, and they just produce. And at the end of it all, and somebody asked me who I think really is going to go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm going to pick my team out of the AFC. Um, but I honestly think you get a rematch, Steelers Seahawks in the Super Bowl. And honestly, the Steelers win it, and I would say by 3. You call me crazy. Oh yeah, well the Steelers aren't going to make it to the Super Bowl because they're going to have to play the Chiefs. And listen. The Raiders figured out a way to beat the Chiefs. You don't think the Steelers can figure out a way to beat the Chiefs? Come on. And then going back to rebuilds, Jacksonville's another one. You got to find. I'm not saying Gardner Minshew is a crappy quarterback, but again, you let Fournette go. You traded Ngakwe. You let this receiver go. You got rid of this guy. And you need another wide receiver. You need a decent tight end. You got the Robinson kid at running back who's pretty good. So obviously we'll see what they do there at that point, but they're not making the playoffs. Colts at this point, I'd be surprised to make the playoffs. But who's their starting quarterback going to be next season? Because you're really going to bring Phillip Rivers back on another 1-year, $25 million deal? No. Absolutely not. That would be insane to do it. Even if the Colts make the playoffs, it's going to be the same end result. Rivers is going to choke in the playoffs. That's just what Phillip Rivers does. He's never going to get that ring. He'll be the only quarterback in that draft class for him, Eli, and Ben that won't win one. And it's a shame because Phillip Rivers is not a bad quarterback. But he's another one. He has that Brett Favre gunsling mentality, and he'll just throw it anywhere, wherever he wants. And it's worked for him at times, and it's backfired for him at times. But with all that being said, I'm going to cut it here because I got to go get ready for Monday Night Football. And hopefully I do another video tomorrow. If not, Wednesday, Thursday. I work a lot. I got to go to the gym. But I'll try to fit some more videos in there. Again, any questions, don't be afraid to hit me up. Let's make this more interactive. It can't just be me doing videos all the time. And, I'm on Facebook, Jim Plotner, obviously. You can email me in one of the other videos I put where you could email me. I'll put it in this one too. Let's just have some fun with this. Until then, stay safe. Peace.